When Arya Stark is trapped in Harrenhal, she loses all sense of hope and completely disconnects from her identity until she decides not to. And in a story that often revolves around the hopelessness of war and the feeling of being trapped within its structures that you didn't necessarily launch, I do think that this is a very important moment and an important feeling to explore. Because when trapped within the cycle of violent injustices, hopelessness is an inevitability. You are, at some point, going to feel it. Your body, your mind is going to give out. The strength required to keep you going will dissipate, and you will have to surrender to that feeling at some point. But surrendering to that hopelessness doesn't necessarily mean that that is the end of the journey, that you have arrived at your destination. It is just another stop. And Arya Stark shows us this beautifully with her final chapter in A Clash of Kings, where she retakes that power and she chooses to, after having embraced that hopelessness, to put it aside and move forward. I fucking hate fascists with a fiery fucking passion in my heart, and this is the only thing that I could think of to talk about tonight that didn't make me want to scream any more than I already do. So let's compare Arya's flight from Harrenhal in the book versus the TV show. And why, once again, the book's storyline is so much stronger and understands the arc that this character is going through and pays it off in a beautiful way. So Arya's journey in A Clash of Kings is a very rough one to read. It is dark, it is heavy, and it is all happening to a 10-year-old. This is the book that sees her initially traveling with Yoren in the aftermath of her father being murdered right in front of her. Yoren is from the Night's Watch and is trying to take her up to Winterfell, but he has disguised her as a boy named Ari. So Arya has already lost not only her father, but this connection to her identity as she's trying to hide who she really is. And along the way, we watch as Arya continually loses these shreds of family or community or identity that she continually has to cobble together throughout the novel. And every time she seems to have gotten it to some kind of stable place again, events shatter it. The security that she feels with Yoren as Ari as they travel in the big group gets shattered when that group gets overtaken by a bunch of Lannisters who are trying to hunt down Robert's bastards. After losing Yoren, she proceeds to start traveling on her own with just a few of the other kids. Gendry, Hot Pie, Lami. They're all trying to survive off bugs and shit in the woods, and it's rough. And Arya, has to become that kind of fiercer individual to try to make this work. But that doesn't even last, because then they get captured by the Mountain. The Mountain proceeds to take them all and all the other villagers that they've been assembling and march them to Harrenhal to be the new servants of the castle, when in actuality there is no choice in the matter. This isn't a job that they've been given. This is a job that they have been assigned, and they are essentially indentured servants at this point. And so because Arya's circumstance has changed again, she creates a new identity to go with it. She is now Weasel. She is now this little girl who is just trying to scurry about the castle and make shit work, trying to follow the orders of the adults who have now been put in charge of her as she is a servant in this giant castle. She is serving the Lannisters, the very people who she knows are responsible for her father's death, and she feels utterly powerless. She calls herself Weasel, but she continually talks about how she feels like a mouse, just a mouse scurrying about the castle without any power, without any agency. But hey, then Arya runs into Jaqen H'ghar again, who owes her those 3 lives because she saved him and the other 2 prisoners who had been trapped during the whole fight with Yoren. There was a fire, it was a whole thing. And so, after feeling powerless for so long up until this point, she suddenly feels like she has power again. Like I said earlier, she keeps going on essentially this roller coaster where she will create a new identity, feel like she has empowered herself once again. It all crashes, and then she has to rebuild, and she just keeps going up and down, up and down. And this point in the story is no different. She has, kind of amassed some more power now with the help of Jaqen. She assumes kind of a new internal identity where she starts considering herself herself the ghost of Harrenhal because she is going around and has the power to inflict death on the people who she deems are unworthy of living, who are doing atrocities, who are harming other people. This is also where in the story Arya shows the fact that like she values women because she uses one of her wishes to kill a guy who's just going around and assaulting girls. So no, Arya of the TV show going on about like how girls are stupid. Nope, that's just a bullshit D&D thing. The showrunners of the TV show that they added because that's how they think, for fuck's sake. I don't fucking know. Again, I'm in a very shitty mood this evening as I'm making this video, as you could probably tell. Really, it's like I'm matching the mood here. It's okay, Arya, you're great. But anyway, Arya, feeling empowered once more, goes around using these wishes to try to off the people who she thinks are shitty. But then, as she gets to the last name, she starts to panic a little bit. She doesn't want to lose that power. She doesn't want to go back to being a mouse. And so she hesitates at naming someone to Jaqen, even though Jaqen keeps like telling her like, no, you got to do it. And so now let me discuss some of the differences that the TV show and the book do before our big prison break, so you can see why these differences are kind of important. Now, in the books, Tywin Lannister is at Harrenhal for a little bit. He doesn't interact with Arya, he leaves, and then the castle eventually gets taken over by the Boltons. Meanwhile, in the show, Arya ends up using her last wish or whatever, or name, to name Jaqen so that Jaqen will basically break her and her friends out. Now, I think they did this for expediency with the plot. I think it's really stupid because it robs us of Arya's arc. Because as I've been building up until this point, she keeps gaining power, losing power, gaining power, losing power, and her identity is fluctuating along with that. So how do we cap that? How does she reach some kind of triumph, or at least like an ending point? Well, in the book, it's a little different. So as Tywin leaves, she sees an opportunity because there are a bunch of Northmen who are now in the dungeons under Harrenhal. And so she names Jaqen, she gives Jaqen his own name, unless he helps her break like the Northmen out so that they can kind of do a coup and take over Harrenhal. The idea being, like, if the Northmen take over, they'll take Arya back home and things will be great because they're on her side, right? Wrong. It's all shitty. It's all shitty. Everyone's a betrayer and war turns people into monsters. Fucking hell. So Jaqen helps her do the whole switcheroo and help break the Northmen out. They get some big pots of soup, and they go and they like scald a bunch of the guards, and they are able to let the Northmen out. But wait, there's already some kind of a scheme going on for the Northmen to take over Harrenhal, because oh no, this was part of the plan the whole time. Arya has just inadvertently helped them a little bit, but they were already planning to do this because Roose Bolton was doing a hostile takeover of the castle. And so, with the naming of the third name, Jaqen goes away, the castle changes management, and everything gets significantly worse. Now, everyone who had been serving the Lannisters is being punished by the new northern overlords, who are all acting very shady themselves, to the point where Arya doesn't trust them enough to reveal herself. And so Arya is forced to once again rebuild a whole new identity after she has lost her power with the loss of Jaqen, except now she can't be Weasel because they keep calling a Weasel Soup basically what her plan was to get everyone out, and all of the former servants who were serving the Lannisters are now very resentful of Arya because she made their situation worse by, helping to install the new management. So now she is going by the name Nan, and once again, she is feeling like she is powerless, she is stuck. She has no options about her. She just has to now be Roose Bolton's cupbearer and hope that he's going to be chill, and maybe when he goes north, she can follow him and eventually get home. But then Roose Bolton tells her, I am not taking you with me when I leave. I am going to leave you here. I'm going to put Vargo Hoat, who is the head of this mercenary company, in charge, and he is a nasty, nasty guy. So she's like, oh, so things are somehow, despite how shitty everything is, things are about to get even worse. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And so despite the fact that she has, continually been trapped in the cycle of hopelessness at a situation that is admittedly fucked, when she sees that, like, it's gonna get worse. I'm not gonna be able to get out of this. I need to do something. It's at that point that she reclaims her name. She is Arya Stark. She's not any of those other fucking names. And she decides that she's gonna break out of Harrenhal. She gets the boys together. She comes up with a plan. She executes it, and she kills the guard, and they skedaddle. So fuck fascists and choose hope. Okay, guys? Let's go.